Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Eve. We have a pretty good start on our hands here with a soul heart generator like the relic. It allows us to essentially use our razor blade very offensively, and the razor blade is so good on the very first two floors, especially against bosses, because you can do so much with it. Not only does it give you that additional damage boost, you can use it just in the case of when you got hit, so you can mitigate damage that way, and of course when you trigger it, because you're Eve, you also trigger Dead Bird, and that can deal some serious DPS, especially to enemies which don't tend to move around a lot or maybe jump around, like the famine in the very first case. And it's such a great addition to Eve. I remember that Eve that didn't have the razor blade for practically all eternity, but then it got added in Afterbirth, I believe, and ever since then she actually is one of the strongest characters in my opinion. It just allows you to do so much, but it still has that feel of risk versus reward. You don't just want to pop it, there's still some skill to it, you know when to use it, and of course you want to use it as optimally as possible, so you would want to use it maybe to mitigate damage, as well as trigger something, and maybe if you're a bit ballsy and if you're very skilled at the game, you can just use it immediately, be at 1 red health, and kinda put you in the same position as Judas. Of course you wouldn't be as strong as Judas would be with Book of Belial, but you do have to be aware that her base damage when she's in the Whore of Babylon state is much higher than Judas's is. But of course, all that aside, because this is a mom's daily, that means we don't really have much to worry about. We really need like 1 or maybe 2 good items to get along, and maybe a good boss rush item just to kind of get things going. So something like invisibility with the ball of bandages would be solid, or maybe even something like Shoop the Whoop. You know, we don't really need a powerful item to carry us through the run, but we need something that will allow us to kind of AoE bosses down, or at least give us some form of protection. So we're kind of on the lookout for that. We do have some nice items here, obviously, with the Whore of Babylon and the Small Rock, the Pentagram. Those are all great things, especially the Succubus. It's just amazing for AoE, but it's not exactly what I would say a good boss killer, if that makes sense. It's good whenever you can stack up the razor blade, but obviously you don't want to be at like 1 red heart max, especially as Eve, because you want to be in that state of extra damage, but also you want to go to those boss rooms and you don't want to be necessarily missing out on points that you can get that way. So it's kind of an iffy proposition, because it's always this risk versus reward, because if you kind of commit to the playstyle where you have more health containers, then you kind of have to stick with the razor blade, and it just makes for a very inflexible game. And I think in this case it's just much better to kind of forgo that, pick up the Mama Mega that I just got, and kind of keep that so I can really fully explore every single floor and then still get access to boss rush. I did do, not a mistake, but maybe it was a bit of a calculated decision on how I used Mama Mega later on, which I'll tell you. But for now, what I want to say is that because this is a mom daily, you can of course expect a lot of variance. Some people find a way forward, find an AWOS rune, maybe someone buys an item that I didn't buy, or maybe I didn't have the key to go to the shop because I used it on the chest or whatever, and they find something that helps them out and just gives them a boost, so to say. And in this case, what ended up happening is that some people had enough money to go to the shop on Caves 1, I believe, and what they did is teleported, or at least bought the card. It was a Joker card, and then if you use it before you go to the boss room, you get teleported to a different devil deal. So those people found a shovel, and of course with the shovel then you can get additional 3 floors, and that just gives you like 20,000 points. You don't even have to do anything essentially. If you just find the shovel and just press the spacebar button as soon as you can to get to the next floor, I'm pretty sure you're gonna end up with a higher point average than someone who actually did beat the entirety of this daily, which is a bit ridiculous, but that's how just the stage bonus works, and there's really nothing we can do about it. But it did turn out to be one of those things, which was a bit of a bummer. I was kind of upset about that, but then again, it's just a game, you know, I can be, I guess, too angry about it. I realize that sometimes happens, and sometimes I get lucky, sometimes other people get lucky. I was kind of trying to pay attention as to why I didn't do that, because as soon as I see if I have an additional 5 cents, which I'm not intending to spend, there's no reason not to buy a card, essentially, because you always try to look for cards. If not for that consumable reason, you try to get a card so you can then teleport out of boss rush. So you can do the boss rush and then teleport out, and then you can do pretty much anything else. But here is the point where I've started making some mistakes. First of all, I picked up Magic Scab, and the reason for that was, first of all, I picked it up because I had the key, Mom's Key I believe it's called, and that just increases your consumables that you get when you open up golden chests. And I thought, if I pick up Magic Scab, I also get a luck upgrade, and that maybe all in all will result in more golden chests on that one particular floor. And you never know, maybe one of those golden chests can have the key to the kingdom or whatever. It was a calculated decision. I knew I was gonna be taken out of the Whore of Babylon state, but I thought, you know, I'm just gonna go to the Devil Deal at the end of the floor, and what I'm gonna do later is use it, I mean, pick up a Devil Deal, and that will allow me to go back into the Horror Babylon state. But of course, one thing I didn't realize is that as soon as you use Mama Mega, or at least I didn't intend to use Mama Mega, but I saw there was a Curse of Darkness, and I would much rather fight I wouldn't fight any enemies because I just don't see what's going on, so I just used Mama Mega, even though it was a mistake. What I should have really done is explore the entirety of the floor except the boss room, because there's always a chance for it to have something like a 5 dice room, which would allow me to do another floor, so I would want to use Mama Mega on that floor, or maybe if it had a sacrifice room, then I would use the sacrifice room, go to the dark room and use my Mama Mega there. So it was a mistake in my part, but also because it opened a boss rush, I can go to the Devil Deal because then the boss rush will close, because it's not open naturally, but it was open with the active item. So it was a mistake, kind of a miscalculation on my part. I skipped through all of boss rush because I think it took me like 15 minutes, and it's just darkness, you can't really see what's going on, so I just decided to cut it off there and just finish the run essentially. It was a bit of a bummer that I did do that silly mistake at the end, and I don't think I've gotten a single golden chest in the end, so that didn't really help me out, but at least we did finish the run. We are in the 100th place, so to say, plus minus 10 spots, however you want to look at it, and with total something like 22,000 points, which is not too terrible, but it's pretty standard. I did get hit a few times, especially in boss rush, and our time penalty was a bit high, on the high side, especially just because of how long it took, but all in all, I'm pretty satisfied with this run. Of course, I wish they did go on for longer, or maybe that we found the seam, but we didn't, and that's just what happens sometimes. That's Isaac. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I hope to see you next time.